am the grateful mom of a daughter, Jennifer, who passed away 2 years ago. But this story isn't about that, not at all. This is about how a young woman with IDD found her voice and became an independent, employed, social, involved, committed self-advocate. And it's a little bit about me too, how I learned and grew into a new role in her life. My name is Helen Pietranczyk, and I'm a part of the ARC community.
How did you get connected with our chapter of the ARC?
Well, this is kind of a funny story. My sister, she suggested that I meet with this person that she had met that also happened to be involved in the world of people with IDD. And so I met with this person, and it happened to be Lori Ropa, our executive director. Well, talking to Lori was one thing. Seeking help, that's just not me. And so it was difficult for me to even think that I needed help. I'd gotten Jenn to adulthood. She was doing pretty darn well, you know. By that time, I had already made it through the learning process about what systems are like here, and waivers and funding and all those kinds of things. And so I thought I was okay, you know. So it was hard for me to think that. But then again, I thought, well, you know, why not? Was my initial attitude was, why not? Met with Jennifer, with an advocate, and just, she said something, I don't even remember exactly what it was, and it was something I didn't know. And that's when I thought to myself, well, why wouldn't you take help and support if it's going to do something good for your kiddo? Of course, who wouldn't do that? Jenn was born in June of 1976 in Buffalo, New York, which is where I grew up as well. As a child, she was pretty chill. She needed to wear braces on her legs for about a year, and she was fitted with eyeglasses at the age of 11 months, and she really didn't put up too much of a fuss. Her pediatrician suggested that because she wasn't reaching the normal markers as she was progressing in her age, that we get her evaluated. And he came to us and told us that Jennifer was diagnosed with as being mentally retarded. Remember, 1978, back then, that was the term. And that she would never progress beyond the age of 7. We were destroyed. We were distraught. We didn't know what it meant. We didn't know what it meant for us. We didn't know what it meant for her. We didn't know what it meant for her now. We didn't know what it meant for her future. I believe that I parented Jennifer when she was younger with a great deal of control. It's a little bit of mama bearish, yes, but if a particular school or classroom within a school wasn't going to work, it was me that was making that decision. Looking back, that's so funny. Jenn was going to preschool, so she's like 4, okay? And her dad and I were nervous, and the bus came to our house to pick her up, and she got on the bus, and she seemed perfectly okay, but that wasn't good enough for us. And so we jumped in the car and we followed the bus to the school, and then went back home once we saw her get into the building. Didn't go into the building, but we watched her go into the building, and then we went back home. And then when it was time for her to get back on the bus at the school to come home, we were there and followed her back home.
That really involves individuals in the direction of their own lives, any potential legislative issue, just really trying to get involved in the things that are really important living the types of lives they would like to live. And so Jenn came on at a time where we were going on quarterly trips, different places, and she was so excited to be able to participate in going on the trip and having the opportunity to stay in the hotel. Her first trip, she stayed in the hotel room because she was working. She could afford to have a room all by herself, and she totally was on her own and in charge of everything involved with that. And she called and she got her own wake-up call, and she was raring to go by 6:30 in the morning when we went to the door to wake her up. And she was all dressed and ready to go. She was ready for that trip.
Oh my. Well, she went on that trip with SFO. She was in People First. She got involved in SFO. Her accomplishments were that she started speaking up and speaking out. I will also tell you at this time is when she started talking back to me for the first time ever.
It was incredible to watch. She came in to a new group of people and just really thrived, I believe, on the social interaction and getting to know all new people and seeing the opportunities that might lay ahead for her. People who lived independently in the community or had their own place to live or lived in different types of settings. She just loved the social interaction and the group dynamic.
And then Jenn told me that she wanted to live in an apartment with a roommate. That would be what she wanted to do. And I was totally taken aback that that was something that she even wanted, let alone that I could be okay with this, right? So this is where I think that really changed. I mean, that changed everything. That this is what she wanted to do, and our focus became, what was she going to need to be able to do that?
You know, it's really interesting to see the development of how the thinking changes as you begin to face some issues as adults. Parents often go through a parallel process of being scared.
The ARC advocates helped me learn how to reframe my interactions with Jenn, verbally, but in other ways as well. I'm so not opposed to growth in myself in all areas, and so I was grateful for their input, grateful for their coaching, if you will, because it was all going to be helpful for Jenn. I mean, that's the bottom line. That's all I care about. I think I could say about our personal growth, we were both learning to let go. She was learning to let go of me and our life that we had together, and I was learning to let go of a couple of things. First of all, letting go meant letting her make mistakes too, and letting go meant to me allowing her to get in someone's car when I didn't know them as well as maybe I would have, 3 years ago. Made sure that I became more trusting of the situation and circumstances. So I was letting go and letting her become who she was going to become, and she was letting go of her formula for the model.
How did that make you feel?
Very grateful. Eventually I got there, but that's the bottom line. I felt very, very grateful that she was becoming a self-advocate. She achieved a goal knowing that she could live independently. though she didn't quite get there, she knew she could. She knew she was going to be able to do that. And even though she didn't get there, I think that's huge. I think that's just huge.
You know, independence can really look different for different people, and I think one of the important things is the importance of daring to dream. Don't let go of your dream. Just know that if it's something that an individual wants to do, look at ways to work up to the ultimate dream. Oh, the trip